Have you ever stopped and really thought about what it means to live a life with, real wisdom and inner peace? It's a question people have asked forever, really. Different traditions, different ideas about what enlightenment actually looks like. Today we're going to do a deep dive into one specific ancient text. It lays out what makes someone a true sage, what they call a Muni.
That's right. We're digging into parts of the Munisutta. It's the 12th sutta in the Uragavagga section of the Satanapada. It's a very old foundational Buddhist scripture, and it gives this, fascinating picture of an ideal.
Yeah, so our mission, if you will, is to unpack these verses, try to understand the qualities of this Muni, and maybe see what these ancient ideas could possibly mean for, us today, in our modern world. It's about getting well-informed on a concept that's really timeless. Okay, so let's start this deep dive. The Munisutta seems to begin with a core idea, detachment. The very first verse we're looking at, 207, says, "Fear arises from intimacy, dust, like defilements from houses. A Muni is homeless and without intimacy." That sounds pretty radical. What does without intimacy actually mean here? Is it just about relationships?
Well, it's a bit broader than just that. The text links intimacy, the Pali word is santavato, and houses, niketa, directly to fear and defilement, raho. It suggests that really deep attachments, even to things that seem stable like your home or close bonds, can actually become sources of trouble, entanglement.
Ah, okay.
So when it describes the Muni as aniketama santava, literally homeless and without intimacy, it's really emphasizing freedom from those external dependencies, things you rely on outside yourself.
Right, dependencies that can lead to fear or suffering.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes more sense than just, avoiding people.
Exactly.
And it keeps going on this theme. Verse 208 says, "A Muni does not replant what is uprooted and does not foster what is arising." It says they've seen the path of peace, Santipada.
Yeah, this pushes the idea further. It's not just about current attachments. It's also about not clinging to the past, things that are already gone, and not actively trying to create new attachments.
So it's really letting go.
A complete letting go. It fosters this inner peace that doesn't need anything external to prop it up. It's not dependent.
Like water flowing, not holding on to debris.
That's a good way to put it.
And then verse 2 Pukan adds another layer. It says, "A Muni, understanding all abodes, not desiring any of them."
Understanding but not wanting.
Is without greed, unattached, does not accumulate, and has gone to the other shore. And the Pali is vitigero agido nayuhati, pargato hiauti.
Right. This points to a really profound kind of freedom. Freedom from wanting any specific state of being, any dwelling, whether that's physical, mental, whatever. The terms without greed, vidojo, unattached, agido, and does not accumulate, nayuhati, these are really core descriptions. It's someone who's moved beyond the usual pulls of the world and gone to the other shore. That's a classic metaphor for liberation, for freedom from suffering.
Okay, so this non-attachment, being homeless, not accumulating, not clinging, how does that land for us now? I mean, we live in a world that's constantly telling us to connect, accumulate, build networks, own things.
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? It's incredibly relevant. Think about our digital lives. Our social media profiles, follower accounts, curated online identities. These can become new kinds of houses or intimacy.
Yeah, like digital attachments.
Exactly. And they generate their own kinds of fear, FOMO, fear of judgment, and their own dust or defilements, like craving validation. The Muni's perspective sort of challenges us to use these tools without getting caught by them, to find peace inside, not from likes or possessions.
So engaging without being ensnared.
Precisely. Freedom from that constant need to acquire and connect just for the sake of it.
All right, so that covers what a Muni lets go of. But the Munisutta also talks about what they are, what they cultivate inside. Let's shift to that inner landscape. Verse 211 describes the Muni as sabhavipu sabhavido sumda, which means overcoming all, knowing all, wise, and unsoiled by all phenomena, abandons all, liberated through the destruction of craving, tachakai.
Yeah, and this is crucial. It's not just passively detached, it's an active kind of transcendence. It comes from deep wisdom, sumata, and destroying craving, tachakai, which Buddhism sees as the root of all suffering.
So it's an inner strength, not just avoiding things.
Definitely. It implies a deep understanding that lets them rise above what binds most people.
Okay, and that fits with verse 212, which adds more qualities. Panyabalang silaba tu papana sa mahita shanartha satiman. That's strength of wisdom, virtue composed, delighting in meditation, mindful, quite a list.
It is.
And they are freed from ties, flawless, undefiled.
Right. And if you link these together, These are the positive inner states that actually make the detachment possible. It's not enough to just avoid stuff. You need to cultivate these powerful qualities.
Mm.
Wisdom, panya, ethical conduct, sila, deep concentration, samadhi, mindfulness, sati.
And that last word, undefiled. What exactly does that mean?
It means undefiled by the asavas. These are often translated as mental effluents or cankers. Think of them as deep-seated mental pollutants.
Pollutants, like what?
Things like sensual craving, craving for existence, ignorance, wrong views, the things that keep us stuck in the cycle of suffering. So being anasabaya means being completely free from these. Pure.
Wow, okay. And it gets practical, too. Verse 215 talks about ethics. Immunity is standing firm, avoiding evil deeds like a sharp sword, examining right and wrong.
Discerning.
And 216 adds there, self-controlled, does no evil, whether young or old, not prone to anger, nor does he anger anyone.
Yeah, this shows a really strict ethical standard, clearly seeing the difference between skillful and unskillful actions, visamanya samanya. There's self-control, sanyatato, and freedom from anger, arosaneo, so narazeti kanishi. These aren't just ideals, they're seen as direct results of their inner peace, real mastery over reactions.
And even personal conduct. Verse 218 says, immunity abstains from sexual conduct, not bound by youth, free from intoxication and heedlessness. It's a very disciplined life.
It really underscores that disciplined detachment from sensual pleasures, commitment to diligence, apamata, free from adapamata intoxication and heedlessness. It's about maintaining clarity and awareness, not falling into states that cloud judgment.
Okay, so we have detachment and this deep inner cultivation of wisdom and virtue. What really jumped out at me next was how the text describes the munis, like outward bearing, their demeanor. Verse 213 paints such a strong image, walking alone, diligent, unshaken by praise or blame.
That's a big one.
Fearless like a lion amidst sounds, unattached like wind in a net, unsoiled like a lotus by water, a leader not led by others.
It's powerful, isn't it? Those similes are so vivid. The lion, asantasante, for fearlessness. The wind in a net, asachamana, showing they can't be caught or attached. The lotus, alapamana, unstained by the muddy water it grows in.
Right. It's about being fundamentally untouched by what's going on around them, good or bad. Praise or blame, it doesn't rock their core.
Exactly. Their stability comes from within, not from external feedback.
And that self-reliance even shows up when receiving alms. Verse 217 says they just accept what's given without praising nor criticizing the giver.
Yeah, that shows a complete lack of attachment to the outcome or any preference. It's truly egoless, just receiving without judgment, without expectation, pure equanimity.
And then verse 219 kind of sums up this ultimate state. Understanding the world, seeing the ultimate truth, having crossed the ocean.
The culmination.
They're described as chinaganta asite anasava, which you mentioned earlier. Knots cut, unattached, undefiled.
Yes, that's the goal realized. Chinaganta, all the internal knots or bonds that tie us to suffering are cut through. Asitai, completely unattached. Anasava, utterly undefiled. Free from those mental effluents, they've reached the far shore. Liberation.
Wow. Just imagining that level of inner freedom, that resilience, is quite something. But, practically speaking, how does someone actually cultivate that kind of immunity, being unshaken by praise or blame in a world that, let's face it, runs on opinions and feedback? Is it about just bottling up reactions? Or is it deeper?
Oh, it's definitely deeper than just suppression. That usually backfires anyway. It stems from that wisdom, panya, we talked about. Understanding the impermanent, sort of empty nature of praise and blame, realizing they don't define your actual worth.
So you see them but don't buy into them.
Kind of. A muni might still register the praise or blame, but they don't identify with it. It doesn't shake their inner balance. It's cultivated through mindfulness, sati, too. Seeing thoughts and feelings like the sting of criticism or the warmth of praise just as temporary mental events passing through, not clinging to them.
So practice helps build that inner fortress of calm.
Exactly. An inner fortress of equanimity makes you less vulnerable to the ups and downs of what people say or think.
Okay. Now, the Munisutta ends with this really interesting comparison. It contrasts the Muni with a Gihi, a householder. Verse 220 says, they are unequal and live far apart. The householder, Gihi, supporting a family, unrestrained regarding living beings, whereas the Muni protects living beings.
Yeah, this is important. It's not presented as a value judgment, like one is better. It's more an observation of two fundamentally different ways of life, with different characteristics built in.
How so? The unrestrained part.
Well, the life of a householder inherently involves responsibilities, earning a living, raising a family that might sometimes involve actions that aren't perfectly harmless or restrained towards all beings, perhaps indirectly.
Okay, I see. Whereas the Muni's path is defined by,
By a consistent universal protection and non-harming of all life. It's just a different focus, different priorities driving their existence.
and that final verse, 221, uses that analogy. Just as a shiki, peacock, cannot match the speed of a goose, a householder cannot emulate a bhikkhu muni meditating alone in the forest.
It's a striking image, isn't it? The peacock, beautiful, maybe tied to the earth with its display. It
Yeah.
just can't match the free, swift flight of the goose.
So the householder life, valuable as it is,
It's just on a different path, a different trajectory than the Muni who's dedicated totally to solitary practice and liberation. It highlights the kind of unique commitment and separation involved in the Muni's way.
right, so pulling this all together, what does this ancient wisdom mean for us? If we're not planning to become monks, meditating in the forest, is this Muni ideal just out of reach? Or can we actually learn something from it as householders?
Oh, absolutely, we can learn from it. The principles are definitely not exclusive. Okay, maybe the full path described involves renunciation, leaving home, which isn't the path for most people living in the world today.
Right.
But the qualities the Muni embodies, those are things we can all work on. That non-attachment, for instance. We might not give up our homes, but maybe we can be less attached to possessions or status or online validation or even our own fixed opinions.
Cultivating detachment within our lives.
Exactly. And we can definitely practice ethical conduct, Sella, in our daily interactions. We can work on self-control, on managing anger. We can cultivate mindfulness, sati, while washing the dishes or sitting in traffic.
So bringing the spirit of the Muni into our everyday context.
Precisely. Striving for that inner peace, that resilience, that wisdom right where we are, regardless of our external situation.
So we've taken this deep dive into the Munisutta. We've explored this ancient ideal of the sage, the Muni, characterized by, well, profound detachment, deep inner wisdom, strong ethical discipline, and this incredible, unshakable calm.
Yeah, we've seen how the text outlines this path to liberation. It's about letting go of attachments, actively cultivating virtues like wisdom and mindfulness, and finally reaching the state of complete freedom from inner defilements, a path that is, yes, distinct from the everyday life of a householder.
It's definitely a powerful blueprint for inner peace, these ancient verses. But maybe here's a final thought for you, the listener, to chew on. While the Munisutta describes this ideal of, complete renunciation, think about which specific quality of the Muni really resonates with you. Is it their detachment from praise and blame, that calm regardless of what's happening outside, that deep mindfulness? What specific characteristic could you realistically try to cultivate more in your own life right now to move towards a bit more clarity, a bit more peace? What stands out to you as maybe the most challenging quality, but perhaps also the most rewarding one to aspire to?